Hello everyone and welcome back to Foot Forecast. And Forest have been dumped out of the FA Cup by Wrexham, losing 4-3 on penalties after the game ended 3-all after extra time. And I always felt this was possible to happen. I actually thought Wrexham would win this game, and that is because I expected Forest to basically do what they did, which was rest their lineup, and I thought this was going to be a real problem for them. If you look at that starting lineup that Forest put out, the only sort of players that consistently play for Forest in that team is Adoy, you've got Matt Sells, and then you've also got Igor Jesus. Those are the three that sort of consistently start for Nottingham Forest. So as soon as you make sort of 8 changes in a game from the last lineup, you know that it's going to be a difficult game, and that's what it was for Nottingham Forest today. And Wrexham did make a couple of changes from their last lineup, but overall it was a reasonably similar lineup to their last side. And what you get with that is you get a lot more continuity. You're also at home in an FA Cup tie, so that gives you a massive advantage going into this game. And I think Sean Dyche probably knew that what he was selecting could get himself into trouble, but I think he hoped that the Suns would eventually be able to bail him out if the game was in Wrexham's favour. And in the first half, the first sort of 30 minutes was pretty poor from both sides. I think that's what sort of you expect from both these sides. They're very direct sides. They don't sort of muck around with it at the back. And that actually ended up making it a very good game 2-1. But in the last sort of 15 minutes, Wrexham started to dominate the play, and it all started with a Forest mistake at the back. And this will frustrate Sean Dyche usually, because he doesn't set up sides where they say, look, you've got to play it from the back, this is how we're going to play. He's very much a manager that likes to go direct. Maybe for this game he'll say, look, we're going to have to spend a bit more time on the ball and we may have to break down Wrexham at points. But I don't think he would have told them to sort of muck around with it, and that's what Douglas Luiz did, and he was dispossessed. And this resulted Kakachi, the New Zealander, scoring the first goal for Wrexham into the back of the net to give Wrexham a 1-0 lead against Forest. And then Rathburn put in a second goal to make it 2-0 to Wrexham at half-time. And it could have been more. Sam Smith had a great chance for Wrexham at the end of the half. And overall, Wrexham were better in that first half than Nottingham Forest, especially in that last 10 minutes of the game where they started to create a lot of chances. Forest did have a goal ruled out because of a handball for Douglas Luiz, which would have put Forest 1-0 up in this game. But it didn't matter as the goal was disallowed. So then going into the second half, and this is where Forest started to roll out the changes. Nico Williams came on for Nottingham Forest, a player that was actually born in Wrexham. Nicholas Dominguez also came on, and so did Morgan Gibbs-White. The key change probably being Morgan Gibbs-White. And that was a clear show from Sean Dyche that he wasn't happy with what his Forest side were delivering. And the changes were a must, I think, to get them back into this game, which they did for a good header through Igor Jesus and Savano. It was a good delivery in from Savano, and Wrexham thought they may have cleared the ball off the line, but it was over the line, which got Forest back into this game. But Wrexham did eventually respond. Wrexham did struggle to get out the pitch. I thought Josh Windass, sort of that next 10-15 minutes, was really good at sort of just winning a couple of fouls. He could have had a couple of assists at points, actually, and he was starting to create some chances for Wrexham. His finishing could have been to better Josh Windass, but overall he created chances for Wrexham in this game, and he eventually won a free kick. The delivery from the free kick from Dobson was absolutely brilliant, and it was a good header in from Hyam. It was a great delivery though, and that is what made that goal. There was some discussion around was that offside, but there was no VAR to intervene. I would probably guess that was probably offside. But anyway, the goal did count. And immediately, though, Nottingham Forest did respond. It was a good goal from Hudson-Odoi. And this will frustrate Wrexham hugely, considering they just did all the hard effort to restore the 2-goal lead, and then immediately Forest pinned them back. And Hudson-Odoi really was a substitution that changed this game. And that's the difference between the two sides. Wrexham, look, they have some good depth, Wrexham, for their division, for the championship. But they don't have depth which is even comparable to Nottingham Forest. Forest to bring on players like Hudson-Odoi against high legs, and he was always going to take advantage of this. And Hudson-Odoi eventually did find an equaliser for Nottingham Forest. The delivery from Savano is great, but the finish from Hudson-Odoi on the volley is absolutely outstanding. And that is just the quality of the Premier League that Wrexham don't have. And I'm sure Wrexham would have been really disappointed to not be able to hold on, considering they did all the work to go 2 goals up, but I could see this happening because at the end of the day, Wrexham started with their first team. Forest would bring on all their subs off the bench, so you have higher quality players at the end of the game against players that are lower quality and are tiring. And in the FA Cup, you often see this happen all the time. And then going into extra time, you would have always favoured Nottingham Forest to go on and win it, but they couldn't find the goal. They dominated most of extra time. Wrexham had a couple of chances through Josh Windass, but he couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. But the key thing for Wrexham is they managed to hold on to get 2 penalties. And with penalties, you sort of make it a bit of a 50-50 game. Obviously, Nottingham Forest have a bit more quality, but also players that are probably better under pressure for penalties. But Wrexham were taken first and also had home advantage, which always gave them a chance in the penalty shootout. And Wrexham actually missed first through James McLean in the penalty shootout. It was a terrible penalty from James McLean, nowhere near hitting the back of the net. But Igor Jesus and Omari Hutchinson missed for Forest to give Wrexham a famous FA Cup win. Both penalties were at keeper height and were poor penalties overall, and they'll be disappointed to go out so early, will Nottingham Forest. Wrexham will be so happy with this, and this is a massive win for them against a Premier League opposition. And overall, I do think Wrexham probably did deserve to win this game. They had a lot of chances throughout the game, and the game only started to change when Forest started to make the changes. And I think Sean Dyche may be disappointed with himself, first of all, putting out a weaker lineup, but he'll also be very disappointed with his players for the fact that they couldn't win against Championship opposition despite putting out a rested side. So then we've got the Wrexham and Forest player rating. Starting off with Wrexham, Okonkwo, I'm going to give Okonkwo an 8. Made 2 crucial saves in the penalty shootout. I'm going to give Hyam an 8 as well. The header was brilliant from him to put Wrexham at 3-1 up, and overall he defended pretty well throughout. Scarf, I'm going to give Scarf a 7. And Doyle, I'm going to give Doyle a 7. Both very solid for Wrexham today. Kakachi scored today. I'm going to give him a 7. Ben Sheaf and Dobson. Ben Sheaf was good. I'm going to give him a 7. Dobson was good today for Wrexham, and the delivery put into the box was absolutely outstanding. I'm going to give him a 7. Longman, I'm going to give him a 6. He was just alright today. Broadhead, I'm going to give Broadhead a 7. Sam Smith, he worked hard. I'm going to give him a 6. He had a big chance to put Wrexham further in front. Rathbone, I'm going to give Rathbone a 7. He was very good today and he scored a goal. Then a significant performer off the bench, Josh Windass. Windass had some big chances to actually win the game, but for his overall play was good. I'm going to give him a 6.5. Then we've got Parkinson, the manager. I think if you win against Premier League opposition, you deserve massive credit. I'm going to give Parkinson an 8. So then we've got the Forest player ratings. I'm going to give Matt Sells a 6. Maybe he could have done better off for the penalty shootout, and he was just alright today. Savano, I'm going to give Savano an 8. He got 2 assists in today's game and was crucial for why they got back into the game. Morata and Cunha, I'm going to give them both 5.5. So I thought they were actually pretty poor today. And Zinchenko, I'm going to give another 5.5. I thought this was a defence that was clearly not used to playing with each other, and they simply hadn't played enough games as a defence. He also got hooked at half-time to Zinchenko. Douglas Luiz and McAtee. Luiz, I'm going to give 6.5. He made a mistake for the first Wrexham goal, but overall he played pretty well. McAtee, I'm going to give a 5.5. He got hooked at half time. Then we've got Ndoye, I'm going to give him a 6. Hutchinson, I'm going to give a 6. Bakawa, I'm going to give a 6 as well. He also got hooked at half time. And then Igor Jesus, I'm going to give a 7.5. Then looking at the players that came on at half time, Nico Williams, who's actually Wrexham born, I'm going to give him a 6.5. Then we've got Gibbs White, I'm going to give Gibbs White a 6.5 again. I thought he was decent when he came on. And Dominguez, I'm going to give him a 7. I thought when he came on, they were a lot stronger defensively. And then Hudson-Odoi, I'm going to give Hudson-Odoi a 9. He was brilliant off the bench for Nottingham Forest. He also converted his penalty. For the manager, Sean Dyche, I'm going to give Dyche a 4. I think he rested too many players in today's game, and I think he'll be really disappointed the fact they went out of the Cup to Championship opposition. Let me know your thoughts on this game, and if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video.